We're here this weekend because of an amazing documentary that was directed by Jamila Wignot, documentary filmmaker. She's done many, many things. And we're here because we wanted to honor a cultural legend, the impact on our culture, and Rebecca will be speaking with Nasha and Jamila tomorrow when we complete the screening of Ailey, and they're gonna dive into what that means for all of us, and what that means to the world. And tonight we're gonna have a little creative conversation with Jamila about her career, about making things, about creativity, about imagination, about dreaming. And so, I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Come on up. Here's what's amazing about Jamila. Her body of work includes the African Americans' Many Rivers to Cross, hosted by one of my favorites, Henry Louis Gates, won a Peabody, an Emmy, NAACP award, Town Hall, a feature-length co-production with ITVS. I have been diving deep into, and I'm going to tell you, write this down, this is going to be something that you're going to spend an amazing time on if you have not seen this yet. I had not, and I feel like my life is completely enhanced by it. Stax, Soulsville USA. Who's seen it? Dang, I know, I'm always the last to know. It's an American documentary series, 4 parts, directed and produced by Jamila. It corrects the history of Stax Records. It had its world premiere at South by Southwest. It won a Peabody. That's a big deal. That is a very big deal. That is a big win. But here's what's so amazing about it. You've heard this a million times, but this is I've just seen it. And so I said to myself, I did not think at this age and this time of my life I could be opened up like this again. There would be something that was here in America that I was completely oblivious to. I knew the songs. Oh, I knew those songs. But I didn't understand their origins. I didn't understand the cultural setting. And I didn't understand what was really going on in that recording studio between those musicians and singers. You know, and the people who are like, let's make a record company, you know? So let me talk to you about that. I think, write it down, put it on your list. This is a binger. It's so good.
Where do we have it? Netflix? Where?
HBO.
HBO.
It's an HBO 4-parter.
And you can always download the app to do a free trial and then delete your free trial.
Oh, tricky.
If you don't want to pay the subscription.
I mean, really, you guys are going to talk about Ailey tomorrow night, which is such a crowning moment for your career, but Stax, it is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's funny, both Ailey and Stax came to me at different times. They weren't films that I had conceived of doing myself, but they are both based in subject matter that I feel deeply connected to, and that really has had an enormous impact on me and given me a sense of belonging and community. Stax is very funny because my love of Otis Redding began with my high school boyfriend. When I was 15, I didn't have a CD player, and so he would make me mixtapes. And I still have them. I have a photograph on my phone somewhere. I went into my storage locker and was like, yo, here it is. So I loved Otis, and that was really sort of my first love of a Stax artist. And Otis was my gateway into all the other artists that were a part of that extraordinary label. Sam and Dave, Isaac Hayes, phenomenal. And so basically the project came to me because my friend Rebecca, we were talking about him, Ezra Edelman, called me and said, hey, do you want to get lunch? We haven't seen each other in a while, let's hang out, I want to talk to you about a project. And I said, yeah, great. And we live within walking distance of each other's apartments in Brooklyn, so I put my headphones on, put Otis on, walk to meet him at the lunch spot, sit down, and he said, "Do you think you want to direct a series about Stax?" And I was just like, look who's on my phone right now. So I was yes from the very beginning, because I thought it was just going to be an opportunity to live in that sonic universe. For, most documentaries take, if they're independent, 5 years to make. If you have financing, sometimes it's faster. Because this was a series, it was going to be a long road. And I similarly didn't know anything about the label's story and the way that it's so completely maps onto, reflects, and transforms aspects of American history. So that journey, once I recognized that,
Right.
it became a much bigger project.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's right with the background of the desegregation of schools. It is the people who are still alive that you talk to talk about going into this record studio and shutting the door, and nobody knew what was going on behind the doors, where there was this integrated artistic magic that was happening, and very different from what was going on in the rest of Memphis. And you just bring that to life so magically. I mean, it's all the songs you know. Hold On, I'm Coming, Sam and Dave, Booker T and the MGs, Otis Redding, Isaac Hayes, Gee Whiz, Carla Thomas. I'm like, I know that song. And you just, you hear the background of it. Talk about a dream. It reminds me of winemaking, which I always said. The greatest thing about winemaking is you pull into somebody's property. That's the dream you're walking into. You are walking into somebody's dream, and they're going to hand you a glass of their dream, and they're going to describe it for you. They're going to tell you the story of it, and it is for you to enjoy. And you leave that experience saying, well, what am I going to dream up? What am I going to do? And seeing the initial dream of that little record store, and she's just inviting the kids to come in and dance, and I mean, it was really, really powerful.
Yeah, it's funny to hear you talk about it that way, because I read this exhaustive encyclopedia, amazing. It started as the thesis of Rob Bowman, who was like the foremost scholar of Stax Records, and it was literally his college thesis, and he is from Canada, and he was like going to move to Memphis for 1 year and like do his thesis. 12 years later, he's like still there interviewing everyone, dedicating his life to it. And it's, he's a musicologist. It's like very, very dense. But like in the currents of it, I remember one of my first notes was like, oh, this is a love story. And it has kind of all those dynamics in terms of the love that's there, the things you say, the things you feel capable of expressing when you love some people, the things you don't express when you love some people, the way that the things you express and don't, in terms of the racial context of the label, this was very true. Like, there was a moment of utopia, but that utopia came at the price of sort of not talking about the tensions that were there. They sort of walked through that door and then pretended they didn't live in the worlds that they lived in, and that was workable until the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. happens at the Lorraine Motel, which is the only other space outside of Stax Records where the musicians could hang out interracially. So it was like their other place where this tragedy happens. But yeah, I think I feel eternally grateful to work on the kinds of projects that I work on, but I also, I'm an artist of a kind, but I really see myself more as a conduit. And so I think what draws me to some of my stories, and certainly to Stax, is like there's a bravery and a kind of, people who just go with what they love that I really admire and don't necessarily feel I embody, even though to take this project on took a bit of like hubris,
courage.
maybe, right? And courage. But I feel like I get to live in a world where people are taking huge risks, and with Stax, like big swings, and like
Big
dreaming impossible dreams for themselves. And so to be able to like listen to those stories, and really, you know, everyone I interviewed was ages like 72 to Jim Stewart, who I got to interview before he passed, was 91 years old, and we interviewed him, and he passed before the series was done, unfortunately. But yeah, to be able to create a record of the lives that they lived, and to find them, I think, in a moment. So we started the film in the series in 2020, end of 2021, beginning of 22. So we're coming out of COVID, coming out of Trump won, and I think for a lot of these people there was a real understanding, like, this is the last time for us to like tell the story the way we really want to tell it. They'd obviously all given interviews before, they had given testimony, but they were of an age and they had like a real distance on even their own history, and so there was like a real beauty in being with people when they understood like that there was a real I don't know, urgency or some necessity for them to like really lay the truth bare finally once and for all, because this may be the last time that you get to do it in this way, and that was very special.
It is an amazing accomplishment and an incredible piece of work, and I recommend it to anybody. We were talking at dinner about starting out. I think we probably have similar stories. Maybe, I don't think you delivered it maybe in a parking lot in 7-Eleven or unpacked a semi full of Cabbage Patch dolls. I don't think you did those things. But that beginning time of growing up, like you start doing like, I'll do anything. You don't even have to give me 10 cents. I'll do anything. Tell us about the beginnings, like, your dream of becoming who you are now.
So I didn't dream of becoming a documentary filmmaker. That wasn't like a vision I had for myself. I loved film. I saw Eyes on the Prize at a very formative age, like I was 12, and that was very moving. I mean, that was like a thing where I was like, whoa, that's very cool. Amazing, I'm glad this kind of thing exists. I really thought I was going to be a history teacher. I was sharing with Rebecca, and I was going to teach like 6th graders history, because I thought like that's the age where I can still get them. They're smart enough to get ideas, but they're not like too old that they don't give a shit anymore. And history really has always mattered to me. I feel like it gives me a sense of calm in all the chaos of the present. So that's what I thought. And then my senior year of college, I was a financial aid kid, and it was like, if you want to do anything in this world, you don't have parents who can like pay for your life once you graduate, so you can like have a free internship. So I got 2 internships, and one of them was at Blacksite Inc., which was the company that made Eyes on the Prize.
Oh, wow.
That was, again, like, oh my God, here they are in the south end of Boston. I can work there. And you know, it was great. It was like I would be sent, I was an intern, I made no money. I would take the bus from Wellesley College into Boston, and they would be like, okay, go to the Boston Public Library. Here are like 5 shopping bags. Come back with all these books. The associate producer would like flag all these pages of photographs, and I would sit at a photocopier and like photocopy the images that they had selected. And what I remember was it was just an incredible moment of osmosis, because they didn't flag every picture, and I would look and I'd be like, well, why this photo and not that photo? And I didn't have answers, but it was clear to me like there was some thought and choice that was happening even at this level that was like beneath the director and whatever. So then fast forward, I got a job in the archival department at WGBH, PBS flagship in Boston, and just kind of kept liking the work. Like I don't even know when I thought, I mean, at some point I moved to New York, and that's when I thought like, I think I could produce. But I just liked the work. I liked that every project I worked on was something new and different, and basically I would spend 9 to 11 months of my life on a project that was a masterclass in whatever the subject was. I mean, I worked on a series called Reconstruction, the Second Civil War in 2002, and they used to do these schools where like you would write your first treatment, and then for a week you invited the foremost scholars on any given subject, and they would sit at a table and they would like tear apart. We'd just listen, and it's like, you know, David Blight and Leon Lithak and like these extraordinary people. And so it just, to me, it was, I don't know, my curiosity was really fed. And then I just thought, like, okay, I don't know, I feel like I had a penchant for it. I wanted to stay in it. And then had some, I don't know, bosses who were like, we think you really
Isn't that
great at this. It's a
I
really
know.
strange thing. It's not like I watch all these documentaries and there's Scorsese and he's like, I was 7 years old and I was drawing storyboards. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't that.
I was bossing people around. That's kind of
I
producing.
was very bossy. Yes, I was bossy and I was nosy. I've always been very nosy, and documentary feeds that itch.
Like, our family gatherings were like, is Sherry coming? Because I would line up all the cousins. Okay, time to rehearse. We're doing a show right after dinner. Everybody come. And the boys won't practice, Mom. You know, yeah. So there was a little bossy, a little putting things together. I know, it's an interesting thing when you start to pull on thread, and it took me a long time. I mean, I had weird threads all over the place, but weird thread where you go, oh, even though I'm not even close to doing my dream, I'm onto something here. There's something that's lining up here. There's something that's lighting me up, which is executing and imagining and bringing people together and getting the best out of people. And then it starts to feel like something, like it's a something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. And that nosiness piece is like, when I'm in the director's chair, I get to ask you anything I want.
You do.
And that's very, I mean, it's very exciting because I think, like, you know, I interview people for very long. I do like 8-hour interviews, typically.
Jeepers. Wow.
Al Bell, who, if you watch the Stax documentary, I interviewed him for 8 hours over 2 days. The man was like 82, had endless energy. And it was so interesting to me because we started and he had the story that he's told. And it's like, sometimes the best thing is to just, you know, and then, you know, I went to Jim and I said, could I do this? And he said yes, and that was really exciting. And like, some people just move on, like, well, he said it was very exciting, so we've got it, let's move on. And I'm like, why? Why was it very exciting? And then he has to talk about that moment from like, okay, you achieved something, but why was this the thing? And it was very funny with him. He, you know, like every kind of hour on the hour, he would start to get really emotional and cry and be like, girl, what you doing to me, girl? And, you know, it's like, even though he'd given so many interviews throughout his life, like, I love that I'm really there to listen, and people really need that. And
make people cry. That's when you know you're in the gold. Then you're like, yeah, okay. Not so fast with the Kleenex. Just let it out. Let it all out. It's very good. It'll explain everything. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that need is there, and I don't know. I just think there's a kind of exchange that happens, and I really feel so lucky.
Yeah.
Like, these people trust me enough to bear some of their truths. And, you know, he talked to me for 16 hours. The series is 4 hours long. He told me more than I could ever encapsulate. But I think it's profound for both of us to experience that together.
Oh, yeah. It's a relationship that's now been captured forever. How do you choose a project? Or do the projects choose? Is it kind of that serendipitous divine order thing? Yeah, I mean, in the case of Ailey and Stax, they just sort of appeared on my radar at one point, and that was, like, you know, incredible. Other projects, I think it's interesting. I think I'm interested in stories about people, you know, artists allow for this a lot of times, where it's like people finding their voice, finding who they really are and what that journey is. And I think I'm really attracted to that because I'm still trying to find my voice. And I think that project for every human is
ongoing. But I like to discover that in individuals, and that's true of Ailey, and that's true of Stax. And then, I also produce projects I'm a director and producer, and so sometimes I'm producing projects that are really about systems. I produced a film called Riotsville USA, which is about these simulated cities that the government created in the aftermath of the riots of the late 60s and 70s that were essentially places where the police and the government forces could run simulations of how they would control uprisings if they happened, not unlike Cop City, that I know should be familiar to many folks in the Atlanta region. And so that's, I'm interested in stories that allow us to get at the way that our structures and systems have been designed.
Yeah.
To remind us that there is a design that went into the life that we're living right now. And so I think that was true too of, I did a documentary film called Town Hall that was about Tea Party activists from Pennsylvania who sort of emerged in the wake of the 2010 red sweep, if anyone remembers that, and then until 2012 we're actively working to unseat Barack Obama. And again, that was me trying to interrogate, what is it about this moment now where a kind of whole set of people are coalescing to voice their discontent with, the nation where it is. So it's things that allow me to explore the system that we live in, and then I think, on the individual story, how do people find bravery? How do people find courage? What, if it's an artist, if it's activists, what is it that motivates a person to sort of take that risk and put themselves out there kind of, on a cliff and stake a claim for something?
Well, you've got a lot of material right now. You've got a lot of material right now.
Yeah.
What is, if you could do anything, if you could tell any story right now, what would the story you'd want to be that you'd want to tell?
I am developing a story right now about Madame the Puppet. Is anybody old enough to remember this puppet from the 1980s? So she was puppeted by a man named Waylon Flowers, who's from Dawson, Georgia.
Right. I do remember that.
And my vision is to make a documentary film that is about Madame, starring Madame. So I will interview the puppet. She's no longer being puppeted right now. We're in the process of that. But effectively...
But she's not dead.
She's not dead. She's alive and well. But the reason for doing this is to look at the fact that at one point, she had a television show called Madame's Place. She is probably the most famous American puppet that ever existed. And what she was essentially a drag performance for her queer puppeteer. And she was embraced. She was the most mainstream act out there. And so it's this idea of queer culture is something that we've always embraced. We love it. We love consuming it. I'm saying the straight audience, but we want to consume it on our own terms. And so thinking about the ways that she is an access point for representation, but the cost of that representation involves a kind of masking on the part of her puppeteer. So this is a thing that I'm actively developing right now with a collaborator. And I just think it'll be zany and weird, and she's fabulous.
Yes, please do it. Jenny wants it. Jenny wants that. That sounds fantastic.
Right.
What else?
And then I have some weird shorts that I want to do. I work in Stax was this massive canvas to work on, and on the other side of that, I was just I just want to do a little small thing. And then there's this other sort of more totally fictional piece that I want to do that's really rooted in, I made a film called Triangle Fire in 2011 that was about the Triangle Factory fire in New York City, where 126 mostly young girls died on the factory floor. They'd been locked in by their owners. A fire erupted, and many of them died throwing themselves from the 9th story of a building. But the year before that happened, these same women had been part of the largest uprising of female laborers in American history. And they took to the streets demanding workplace safety, better wages, shorter hours, freedom from sexual harassment by their bosses, a host of things. And they had some success, but the women who worked at the Triangle Factory fire kind of went back into the circumstance. And this becomes like the seed of the New Deal. And a piece of that documentary that we never got to include was that these same women in 1903, 1906 had been part of these rent strikes that took place in New York. And the way that they did that was they abandoned their apartments and they went and had these little encampments in the Palisades. And they just camped out for a whole summer and sort of fortified themselves for the fights ahead that were numerous. And these were women who had stayed in the labor movement for the rest of their lives. And I've always wanted, there's some archival of that scene, but I've always wanted to think about like these encampments, it was women of all ages, young girls to women with their children, and they went and they camped for a summer, and to think about like this period of rest and nourishment that happened there, and if I could visualize that and thinking about the songs that they would have sung and the meals that they would have cooked and just creating a kind of fictional landscape of that, and that led me to thinking about other people who needed this kind of respite from the work. So I found another photograph from like 1916 of Black women who had gone to this place in Colorado, and it's just this beautiful photograph of them. There's like a donkey and they're dressed in sort of like Mexican garb, and it's clear that it's a vacation photo of middle-class Black women. And I imagined like what brought these women there and what were they doing and what were they, what was happening around this vacation, and what was this vacation, how was it restorative for them? Yeah. And then, so I had this idea of a kind of fictionalized version of, rooted in these photos that I've found of different movements, and thinking about the ways that, like what happens in between the fight. And I don't know where this would go. I have no idea. It's like not a script, it's not a story, it's sort of very experimental, but it's something that stayed with me, and I have to figure out how to get that off the ground.
Sounds like a show.
Maybe it is a show. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but yeah.
Maybe you guys ought to huddle up.
I've talked to some writers.
Huddle up, my friends. Huddle up. Well, we got Tino right there.
Yes.
So here's the deal, guys. So tomorrow, if you track Joe down, maybe you can get him to give you a ticket or let you buy one, because we did sell out today. Tomorrow from 5:30 to 6:30 at Gainey Hall, we have what we call, it'll be the third time we've done it, the Neighbor Social, where you can buy cool stuff from the gourmet food truck, and we'll have House of Brown Wine we'll be selling there, and we'll have a signature cocktail we'll be selling. And then we go in and screen the film, and then our beloved trailblazer, Rebecca, will lead the conversation, and the audience can ask questions. These panels have been so dynamite. It's been so fun to hear people's conversations and the questions they want to ask. And Nasha will join Jamila, and it'll be very, very Ailey focused. So that is tomorrow. I told you, it's a weekend of greatness. Great wine. Mrs. Brown, Coral, thank you for your art, your passion, your storytelling, that letting us into your dream. And you let us into your dream. And now we're into Nasha's dream, and Judith and Claudia's dream. Like, can we do something with Ailey at Serenbe? Here it is. Yes. Here it is. Thank you all so much for coming. Did they serve dessert yet? Okay, dessert's coming. I just wanted to make sure that you weren't like, oh my God, is Sherry are they just talking now? We gotta go. So dessert's gonna come. Enjoy. Thank you so much. It just fills my heart to listen to you all talking and communing and collaborating and sharing over this kind of thing. And thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thanks, everybody.